Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I have a really important chart to share with you guys, something I'm really excited to share because of how important it actually portrays what's going to be taking place by the end of the year. Many people have doubted my $20,000 Ethereum targets, many people have doubted my $250,000 Bitcoin targets, but today I wanted to share with you guys exactly how I believe it's going to be taking place, some similarities that we're seeing today between Ethereum in this current cycle compared to what we saw in Bitcoin in the last cycle, and understanding what we can do to capitalize and make the most amount of profit over the next 3 months so that we can prop our portfolios and prepare for the next coming bear market. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 21,000 members and growing. Links are provided for you in the description for the people that want to join and sign up for my community. On top of that, if you want extra educational content on how to be more profitable, make better decisions inside the crypto markets, links are also in the description to go ahead and download my free ebook and beginner's guide to crypto. So check it out. Links are provided for you in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so here we are today talking about Ethereum, and we're actually going to be comparing the Ethereum cycle to what we saw in the last cycle for Bitcoin. Now, many of you guys weren't around for that last cycle. There's very few people that have really been around crypto for very long, as it's such a new and emerging market, but I actually got my start investing at any point in my life. I'd never invested in my entire life, never knew anything about trading until I got into cryptocurrency back in 2016. Now, I bought my first Bitcoin right here at $450, and it was right at the very beginning of that bull trend. Now, obviously speaking, I had no idea what I was doing. I really had no idea, and so I made a lot of mistakes early on. But one of the things that I honestly did more than anything else was simply just watch the price, analyze the bigger picture trend, and just look for little patterns that I could find. Now, I didn't really do that well in the last cycle. You know, I ended up making some money and going from absolutely no money to then having like 60 grand or something at the top. I can't remember exactly what it was. You know, it was a big accomplishment in my eyes because I finally learned that, you know, I can actually make money doing this, and I was making money faster than anybody in my family. And so going from a high school dropout, not really having much of an opportunity to do anything, finding crypto, and then realizing that there is a gold mine sitting here, you know, I really focused in on it. But the thing was, guys, is I didn't understand what I was doing, and come the bear market, the beginning of 2018, I got over leveraged at the top, and I ended up losing all of my money because I was just long holding a bunch of stuff. I had a bunch of altcoins. I had a Bitcoin that I ended up making at the top. I invested that Bitcoin back into altcoins at the very top before everything crashed. And so by the end of that bear market, I went from having like 40 to 60 grand. I think it was closer to 40 grand. I can't remember exactly. All the way back down to like $500 when Bitcoin hit 3,200. And so it was a big awakening for me. It made me realize that I had to learn a lot more. I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. And that's when I started paying a lot of money for courses. I started paying a lot of money for mentorship. And I honestly, in the bear market, just started studying a lot, reading books, watching YouTube videos, things like that, until I got to the point where by the mid-bear market, I was starting to learn how to actually manage risk. I was starting to understand that, you know, the market's not only just going to go up in the direction that you think it is. And that's when I started preparing for reinvesting inside of that bear market. And so any new money that I got working my normal jobs that I had, I just put it back into crypto. I'd invest into cryptos that I knew were most likely going to be safe bets throughout the course of that next bull cycle. And that's kind of, you know, what gave me this big picture that I follow and what I share with you guys on this channel. I'm always analyzing the big picture trends because in my opinion, the big picture trends are going to be the most valuable place that we can look to target, simply because of the fact the big picture never lies. It's easier to view. We can visualize what happens on a bigger trend, and majority of the time we're going to be able to get a lot more accurate data to pull from. And so I wanted to share with you guys a really important chart, and we're going to be covering some of my analysis that I even had back in 2019. This is going to go way back, and so the majority of you guys probably have not even seen me cover this. OG followers of the channel will remember me covering some of this stuff, but we're going to be analyzing the similarities between Ethereum and the similarities of Bitcoin in Bitcoin's last cycle. And this is literally how I've come up with my $20,000 Ethereum target. I've always known that Ethereum was following Bitcoin. In fact, Ethereum follows Bitcoin, and it's on an even more accelerated pace to follow the prices of Bitcoin. And it makes sense because there's more infrastructure, there's more money, there's more media attention than ever before. And so for these crypto prices to do the same type of returns that got Bitcoin up to 60 grand, they can do that in a much shorter period of time. It doesn't take quite as long as it took Bitcoin. So what we're going to be talking about today, guys, is the similarities between each cycle. Now, I've been calling for a $20,000 Ethereum since Ethereum was all the way back down here, sub $200. So we're going to draw a line at 200 bucks approximately. I've been calling for a $200 Ethereum for a long time, and the reason for this is simply because of the fact Bitcoin and Ethereum are following each other. What I should say is Ethereum follows Bitcoin more closely than any other market. Now, what we can see here is Ethereum rallied up. It was the best performing altcoin back in 2017, and we saw Ethereum go from 40 cents all the way up here to about $1,450, right? Now, what's interesting to me is how closely Ethereum in 2016 to 2017 followed what Bitcoin did from 2012 upwards of the end of 2013 to the beginning of 2014. Now, I've always shared with you guys this chart, and this is why I've always felt like Ethereum would actually hit $20,000 because the symmetry in price is so identical. Now, over here, we saw Bitcoin go from about $2 in price all the way up to about $275 right here. In Ethereum, we went from about 40 cents all the way up here to about $450. And then we went through this little triangle consolidation where it kind of just went sideways for a little while. And then that's what took us to that blow off top. And pretty much the same thing ended up playing out here for Ethereum. Once again, we get the blow off top. And this is where Bitcoin went from about $122 all the way up to about $1,150, and it tops here. Ethereum went from about $270 all the way up to $1,450 here. This consolidation right here, even though it was a much longer period of time than what we saw inside of Bitcoin, it was almost the exact same looking consolidation as what we actually saw with Bitcoin in that last cycle. And I'm actually going to shrink this a little bit so it's easier to see because this is pulled off of a bigger time frame. But pretty much what I analyzed for you guys was how this was the same as this. We made almost the exact same consolidation here. And then that March panic was actually capitulation. This chart of Ethereum that was in this accumulation range down here between 365 and about 80 bucks, this was repeating the exact same accumulation range that Bitcoin saw from 160 up to about $300. And so we were watching this, but this took about double the length of time. Maybe a little bit less than double, but we saw pretty much that same exact pattern. And that's why I always knew that once Ethereum took off, it was going to happen a lot quicker than what we saw here with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin took, approximately a year before it broke those all-time highs. It had a lot more grinding and building off of this trend line, whereas Ethereum pretty much just went sideways inside of this accumulation. I used to tell all my subscribers back in the day here for Ethereum, the longer the accumulation, the greater the expansion. And since, we'd pretty much just gone sideways for the entire length of time that Bitcoin just started uptrending, I said that once Ethereum ultimately breaks out of this range, it's going to go up a lot faster than Bitcoin did. And that's exactly what happened. Ethereum spent over a year inside of this accumulation range. But once we actually broke it, indicated over here by August to late fall of 2020, it immediately shot into new all-time highs, and it went up a lot faster than, the rest of the people were really expecting. Now, this is what's going to take us into the next part of this chart. Now, if we come over here, guys, what I wanted to make a point of was simply just how symmetrical these tops are. Now, Bitcoin in 2013 topped at about $1,150. Ethereum here topped at about $1,450. So their prices actually synced. And we see pretty much the same exact form of consolidation inside of the bear market that we saw here inside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. This was the final low, This is the final low. And then we go for the same sort of accumulation range before that's what ultimately takes us into new all-time highs and into price discovery. Now, this is what I wanted to share with you guys over here, was how the blow off top is actually going to be factored into this and what we're seeing today inside of the charts for Ethereum, as well as comparing it to what we saw in the last cycle for Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum was a little bit different. The price structure is not going to be 100% the same, but it's honestly insane how close it actually is. And what we're seeing thus far, in my opinion, is pinpointing once again to that $20,000 Ethereum target that I've had. Now, the whole entire reason that I've had this is simply because how correlated Ethereum's price is in this cycle compared to that first cycle that we saw from 2013 all the way to the cycle top in 2018. Now, what we saw in Ethereum was after we actually broke that accumulation range, we rallied all the way up here to about $4,400, and then we got our first major correction. Now, this, in my opinion, is very much similar to what we saw here inside of Bitcoin. Now, nonetheless, Bitcoin took a little bit longer, and it had a much steadier uptrend compared to Ethereum just going very parabolic upwards of $4,500, but we saw almost the exact same sort of price symmetry here. Bitcoin rallied from, a few $100s all the way up here to about $3,000, and then that's what took us for our first correction. This was when we first broke all-time highs, and it looked something along the lines of this, right? This was the previous all-time high. Bitcoin goes from about $900 all the way to $3,000, and then we get our first major pullback. And the bottom of that pullback actually takes us to about $1,800 per. And so I was watching this, and I thought it was very interesting how it's actually correlated to what we see with Ethereum today. Now, Ethereum went a little bit higher in this move. It was a little bit more parabolic, but that's kind of to be expected because Ethereum has always been more parabolic than the Bitcoin chart has been. It's actually outperformed Bitcoin in a shorter period of time. Now, Ethereum went all the way up here to about $4,400, and then we got our first pullback. What's interesting to me is in 2017 for Bitcoin, we bottomed at $1,800. Now, we actually bottomed at that exact same point in time for Ethereum as well. We bottomed here at $1,800 once again. And so not only do we follow almost the same sort of symmetry between, the correlated price, not only do we follow the same symmetry as far as what the accumulation range looked like at the cycle lows, but we're following pretty much that same pattern even going into new all-time highs. And so my thesis that we would continue to follow Bitcoin's price has honestly just been proven right over and over again. The price structure can look a little bit different considering right here, what we see inside of Ethereum, we make this big leap into new all-time highs and we go to $4,400. Now, Bitcoin pretty much went to $5,000 and we made another higher high shortly after the move past the all-time highs. And so this entire cycle of what we've seen for crypto as a whole, this is including Bitcoin, comparing it to its last cycle, this move from, about $200 all the way up here to about $4,500, in my opinion, is the same as the move from about, $700 to $1,000 all the way up here to $5,000. This move that we saw here, where in Bitcoin we got two higher highs that took us to about $5,000, I think that Ethereum pretty much did both of those moves all in one. It's the same thing, but Ethereum just did it a little bit shorter as far as it went much higher in price, and then it had a little bit of a deeper sell-off. And so it was pretty much a combination of both of these two moves. It went the same height as both of these two moves, but then it went into a deeper correction than either of these two did. This was about a 60-something% correction. These ones were sub 40% corrections, right? And so we got a combination of both of these, which is really the only difference here. Ethereum has pretty much just done both of these in one compared to doing one high, retrace, one high, retrace, and then going for the blow off top. But nonetheless, guys, when we actually take the time to sync up the time frames, what Bitcoin did after it bottomed here at about, $1,800, if we measure from $1,800, which was 15th of July 2017, all the way to the end to where that blow off top took place, that actually gives us about 153 days. It was 5 months period of time that it took Bitcoin to go from $1,800 in that first major correction past the all-time highs all the way up to the cycle top at $20,000. Now, if you guys were there for that last cycle, I was, so I actually do remember what that was like. There was nobody that was calling for a $20,000 Bitcoin. In fact, a lot of people had already been calling the top here once we got this correction back down to $1,800. Very similar to what we saw here with Ethereum once we peaked at $4,400. There was a lot of people saying that the bull cycle was over. We had already broke all-time highs. We'd already made a new all-time high. That's enough. It already got too parabolic. There's not, any more money that's going to be coming into the market. And so it was a very big bearish sell-off. Now, this ultimately took us into another higher high. For Bitcoin, we made another new all-time high pretty quickly to that. And in Ethereum, you know, we ended up bottoming here at about July the 15th, almost the exact same time, almost the exact same price as Bitcoin. And then we've made one more big high here for Ethereum. The only real difference here is Ethereum pretty much rallied back up to the previous all-time highs of this move, whereas Bitcoin ended up making another new all-time high. But the thing is, guys, Bitcoin actually topped at, you know, about $3,000, whereas Ethereum topped at about $4,400. This second high topped at about $5,000. This second high topped at about $4,000. So we're still following the same, you know, price targets for the most part. The only difference is this first major impulse into new all-time highs was a lot steeper than the first impulse into new all-time highs for Bitcoin. It happened quicker. There was more money flooding into the market. It was more parabolic. There was a bigger percent return on your investment in that period of time. And so what we're seeing here is pretty much just the same sort of moves. Now, this is actually what takes us into the final end of the year blow off top, and kind of what I've been talking to you guys about, why I've had this $20,000 price expectation for Ethereum. I've always thought that it would continue to follow the price of Bitcoin. Thus far, it has. The only real difference here is when we compare the two sell-offs that we saw shortly after the break of all-time highs, Ethereum pretty much did both of these moves all in one, right? Ethereum topped at about $4,400. The second high peaked at about just under $5,000. So it was almost the exact same. The only difference is we got both of these moves combined into one, and then both of these sell-offs combined into one as well. And so it was just the same, but it pretty much just combined both of these. Now, the thing that I do think is going to be the same is the blow-off top. Now, if we compare and actually analyze the blow-off top for Bitcoin in 2017, after the second high, we came down and bottomed at about $3,000. And then from $3,000, we went all the way up to $20,000. And it only took us a couple months to do that. And if we come over here and pull a date tool, let's actually analyze from quarter one. So the 1st of October, all the way until we topped. It was about 75 days. So a little over 2 months period of time that it took us to go from the beginning of quarter four all the way to the cycle top. Now, if we do the same thing here for ETH, we analyze from the 1st of October, and we actually go over here once again, it's looking like if we can come up to about the end of December, it's going to be looking about a 3-month period of time. And the thing is, guys, it's hard to say exactly what is going to be taking place for the exact cycle top for ETH, because ETH ended up topping in the last cycle at about January the 7th, whereas Bitcoin topped in 2013 at about the very 1st of November, or the very 1st of December, right? So already we should expect to see Ethereum actually extend a little bit longer than what we saw for Bitcoin, because thus far, you know, it's kind of done that. And if we analyze the 4-year cycle top, if we topped here at about January the 7th for Ethereum, you know, we should look to be targeting about 1,450 days, which is going to be taking us to a cycle top once again at about the very end of December to the first week of January. And so that's, in my opinion, where we will see a cycle top for the altcoins. My guess is we'll see something similar to what happened here for Bitcoin, where Bitcoin rallied for its all-time high. It went into a massive blow-off top, and then on its first lower high, that's where we should expect to see altcoins have one more big move. It would be something like this, right? So Bitcoin makes a lower high here at the beginning of the bear market, and then the altcoins end up making a higher high here, and then that'll take us to the cycle top of the bull market, right? I do believe that we're going to see a $20,000 Ethereum target. Anywhere from 15 to 20K, in my opinion, is likely. I've always thought that. I've had this trading plan for over 2 years. And the more that the price of Ethereum actually develops, the more confidence I actually get inside of that trading plan. And so what we're seeing here, guys, is a synced cycle. We saw Bitcoin as the main crypto. It was the beginning of the cryptocurrency market, the beginning of blockchain. Ethereum came out and asserted itself as the market leader because it gave us the opportunity to actually create our own cryptocurrencies, issue our own smart contracts, deploy dApps, and all of that fun stuff, right? So we've seen so much infrastructure added because of Ethereum. And so it makes sense that Ethereum is going to follow the price of Bitcoin. We know altcoins follow the price of Bitcoin. They always have. But when it comes to looking at the price of Ethereum, the price of Ethereum even follows the prices of Bitcoin in that last cycle. And that's why I've always firmly believed that this is pretty much what we're gearing up for to close out the end of this bull run. A lot of people are going to doubt this, but what we have here is a perfect example of a cup and handle formation, guys. A perfect example of a cup and handle formation. I've seen these cup and handle formations play out time and time again, and I'm telling you guys that in such a big picture cup and handle like we're seeing with Ethereum, the blow off top is going to be insane. And once again, we followed the prices of Bitcoin thus far. Why wouldn't we continue to follow those same prices? So I do firmly believe we're going to get a massive blow off top to close out the end of this cycle. It'll look something along the lines of this. I mean, it has to go something along the lines of this if we're going to see Ethereum at a $20,000 per ETH. Seems insane, but this is going to be maximum euphoria in the market. We're going to see NFTs do 100, 1000x gains. We're going to see cryptos do, 10, 50, 100x gains, some of them even higher than that. And it'll take such a short period of time because we only have 3 months left before the end of this quarter. I do believe that in the same way that we actually saw the altcoins lag about a month behind Bitcoin, I do think we're going to see something similar this time around. My guess is altcoins are going to top somewhere around the end of December. The best thing that you guys can do, maybe when you take some profits off of your Bitcoin, maybe the safe thing to do would actually be to sell a chunk of your alts as well. It doesn't necessarily matter if we nail the exact top, but the thing that we should really be paying attention for is once this starts to happen, once we start to see some major parabolic pushes, my guess is we see ETH rally upwards to about 8K, and then we get a little short-term pullback, something similar to what we saw here. But I don't think that it's going to be anywhere close to done until we start getting closer to 15 to 20,000. So that's where I'm personally going to be looking to target. At the end of the day, like I've always stated, price isn't the thing that matters the most. But in this specific chart, I do think that there is a great takeaway that we can look at and analyze and pull data from when it comes to analyzing the price. It's just one focal point inside of the chart that we can analyze to get an idea of what's going to happen. And in my opinion, thus far, because of how correlated the price of Ethereum has been to Bitcoin in that last cycle, I think it's something that we should really pay attention for. I mean, I've been calling for this $20,000 Ethereum target honestly, before I even had the entire plan for the 4-year cycles. I think I came up with both of these around the same time, but I do believe that my 20K Ethereum target came a little bit earlier than that. And the reason for this is because at the time I didn't understand the 4-year cycle theory. And so I was really just following, the symmetry of price. And when I saw how correlated it was, I had a strong conviction that that was going to continue to play out into the end of this cycle top. And so we should expect to see something along the lines of this, guys. I've shared with you many examples of blow-off tops inside of cup and handle formations. This one is creating it right after a break of the previous all-time highs. We retested those previous all-time highs, and we should expect to see a major move coming on the upside. I want to see you guys make a lot of money. The best way to make a lot of money is simply going to be holding until the end of this quarter. End of December, beginning of December, really the beginning of December, that's a great time to take profits, start taking profits at the very least, and look to, target that bear market low. Because, quickly before we wrap up this video, let's simply go over here and let's pull the bear market, and so that we can kind of get an idea of what we would expect to see here inside of Ethereum as a whole. How big is this correction going to take us? How big is this bear market going to be when we compare it to what we saw here? And really, guys, it should look a lot like this. Whether we come down here and retest the previous highs set at about 4K, or whether we even come all the way back down into about 2,700, I think that all of these are going to be very valid. I don't believe we're going to retest the previous all-time high of that last cycle over here at about $1,450. I think we'll get close. I think a lot of people will call for that target. But in the same way that Bitcoin didn't retest its previous all-time high in that last cycle, I think that Ethereum will somewhere bottom in between about $4,500 all the way down here to about $2,700. That's going to be my big price target. Obviously, the bear market's going to look a little bit different. It could follow very similar price targets and even very similar price structure as what we saw here in the 2018 bear market for Bitcoin. I'm not going to try and predict that far ahead in the future. We need to take it one step at a time, but thus far it has, and so we should continue to watch for these correlations. At the end of the day, time frames are going to be king. I'm going to be getting out at the end of this year. I'm going to be looking to get back in at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. And this is honestly what this market's going to end up looking like long term. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys like to join the Discord server, or you guys would like to download my free ebook, links are going to be provided for you in the description for that. For the people who'd like to join my VIP, know what I'm doing with my money, how to trade these markets, and most importantly, where I'm diversifying profits of crypto into the bear market, cryptos I'm going to be shorting on the way down, all of that fun stuff. You guys definitely want to go check out my VIP signals. That's where you're going to get access to all of this stuff. It's going to be lifetime access. As long as you guys are having access with that, you're going to see everything that I'm doing across all markets. Even if I end up diversifying into stocks a lot heavier, commodities a lot heavier, you guys are going to get access to exactly what ones I'm buying. So check it out. Links are going to be provided for you in the description. And with all that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.